Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the First Class, Second Place podcast. I'm your host, Jason Enrique, and we got another first class guest up in the building today. But before we continue, I want to remind everybody that we're live in Bravery Studios in Garfield, New Jersey. Shout out to Najee behind the glass. Drop the bombs on him. Love it. You're getting a little liberal with the drops right now, huh? I love it. I love to see it, man. That means you're having fun. But ladies and gentlemen, that's what we do here. We do have fun here at First Class, Second Place. So this is a very special episode for me and hopefully for you guys as well. So we are missing one party. I want to give a huge shout out to one of my dearest friends in the whole world, Alana J from Act Up with Alana J. Like and subscribe her podcast right there. Shameless plug. I love you, girl. And good luck on your audition. But we're still going to have some fantastic time with some fantastic people here. Ladies and gentlemen, you know them. They're Hall of Fame as far as First Class, Second Place is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, Marissa Tonge and Joel Frometa are in the building. What is going on, people?
Dang, what an introduction, though. Jeez, it's a Hall of Fame.
Do you realize that you've every time you've been on the show, you've said that? Like, man, what an introduction.
I mean, because every time it just throws me off. I'm like, wow, is that
But
really
you know what?
right?
That also kind of shows off my narcissism because I know how many times you said it on the show. Like, I watch my own show all the time, like a narcissist, apparently.
That doesn't make you a narcissist.
I'm being facetious.
Yeah. I mean, I watch your shows when I'm on it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So to give a little bit of backstory for any other new audience members of the show, so Marissa has been a staple of my show, especially every time we do our year-end episodes. So it is this is the last episode of 2024. It's been a great year for the podcast and a whole bunch of other things. She's definitely been on it earlier this year, and I had to have her once again for the year-end. And this guy, he actually joined me first in episode 101, which I look at it as a rebirth because the first 100 episodes, I was trying to get my foot going, trying to figure out what I want to do with the show and so on and so forth. And then I had to, I welcomed some people part of the show and then they're no longer part of it. Good riddance. But that was like the perfect reset. And you were actually there for me when I actually needed a friend more than anything. And I was so glad that you were able to come through. And what I also found interesting is that when we first met on social media, we met through a mutual friend, and I don't know what's wrong with me, but sometimes, like, when people try to introduce themselves to me, I kind of come across like, oh, I'm not interested in meeting you or whatever. I'm not very engaging. But then as you get to know me, I start to warm up a little bit. Like the walls start coming down. And fast forward to now, you become like one of my closest friends. Like I know that you're a guy that if I need something, I can hit you up right away, and it's vice versa.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I what's funny is I remember from that first exchange that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I didn't get that at all from you. And it's funny because I also remember us talking about this on episode 101.
Yeah.
Because you had apologized. And
right. I actually apologized to Dennis also because I feel like I gave him that same treatment, but he understood.
No, I get it, man. And also too, you can't read into too much into text because that's what it was. It was through DM anyway.
It was through DM, yeah.
Yeah.
You slid in my DMs and.
Yeah, exactly. I slid in your DMs and it just, you shot me down, but it's whatever. Sometimes rejection empowers you. And then we were able to meet actually here in Bravery Heart Studios on that one project, and I feel like me and you hit it off, and ever since then, man, I mean, look at us now.
Right, yeah. And as far as you, Marissa, I mean, you have been a firecracker this whole year. I mean, you are not only a podcaster, you have your own podcast, Let's Just Be Real podcast, which is one of my favorite shows, and one thing that I will always give you credit, I've given you credit so many times, and I'll continue to do so, is that you are goddamn consistent. Like, you do it all the time. You stay on top of your shit. And I could tell that you really love doing it. It's a very passion project for you, but you do it all on your own. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have, the help of Bravery Studios and everything, but you're a Renaissance woman. You're a Jackie of all trades. I mean, and it's very, very inspiring to see.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back. I don't know why I put on a country accent. Thanks for having me
I didn't even notice that.
I heard it, but I was like, did I miss that accent this whole time? I thought it was just me. But, no, it was working for you. It was working for you.
Were you listening to Beyonce's album, This Ain't Texas? No. Is that what you're getting?
No. So I actually didn't see her performance yet.
Okay.
I'm saving it for later.
Okay. All right.
But I saw clips.
Okay. All right.
Did y'all watch it?
I did not.
No, I'm saving it for later. So.
How much later though?
Let's not talk
I'm
about
dead.
that.
I mean, listen, I'll just be straight up honest. I'm not the biggest Beyonce fan like that. I mean, I don't have anything against her. I don't hate her or anything like that. It's just, it's been a long time since her music has actually spoke to me. Like, I haven't felt the same about Beyonce's music, just the music, since
get that.
Dangerously in Love.
I get that.
I think I miss anything that just trends, like with the whole Kendrick and like Drake beef. I had to Google the entire.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, so who did what to who,
I
and how
feel
do we
that.
get
Yeah.
here? Because I saw Beyonce was trending, and again I was lost, and I was like, all right, did something happen, or so. That's why I'm saying I'm gonna save it for later, because that's usually when I catch up. So,
Yeah, that's cool to
Yeah.
be like out of the loop, kind
Right.
of. Yeah.
So, Marissa, like I mentioned before, you've been on several year-end episodes of First Class, Second Place, and let's just keep up with the tradition. So, what has been going on for you personally in 2024?
Well,
I know it's a broad question, but like, I mean, like,
well. How much time do we have? No, I'm kidding. No, this year has been crazy, honestly. Like, this has been the worst year of my life. Straight
really,
up. Yeah.
Not even being facetious about it.
No.
worse than like super busy or like worse.
Like, just a lot of life changes and like realizations and like weird people, weird energy, having to end relationships, like just a lot of like clearing of people
It's good for energy
and
sometimes,
things. No, it is.
though. Yeah.
And like it's good because I'm making like a really big change right now that I can't talk about. But
I feel like you say that every time you're on my show. Like, you always
Really?
have something in the works, but you can't talk about it yet.
She's one of those people that you have to speak into existence, or you can't.
yeah,
Scare
That
it
was
away
that's
type of thing?
that's what I was getting
Yeah.
to. So
I talk about it with certain people,
okay,
but a lot of
so we
things
ain't
like
shit. No,
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
was
kidding.
about to say,
no, it's because of the camera and the mic.
I got it.
But certain, I'll tell you guys after.
Sure.
Oh, okay, cool.
But yeah, there's just certain things that I'm just working on right now that are I think are really good.
Right.
Good changes.
Well, if do you mind maybe not delving too much, but maybe just elaborating a little bit more about why this was a challenging year for you?
Oh my God. I feel like it's kind of like what you mentioned with like 33 being your Jesus year. I also feel like it's the year that you get challenged the most. So like it was just a lot of like tests, people coming from my business. Like I had some girl like lie and bring up like literally create like a smear campaign against my business. Like she was bullied and like just all this shit. But it was a lot leading up to that. And yeah, just like a lot that I had to clear out, honestly. Endings. But it's all good.
Yeah, no, I feel that same sentiment. I mean, I mentioned earlier that 2023 was a tumultuous year for me for a number of reasons. And it was also a year where I got to see people's true colors. And luckily, I've actually been able to make amends with certain people because, there's miscommunication that goes on. There's also a lot of growth that you have to do within yourself in order to move to that next step. I always believe that it takes two to tango as far as those situations are concerned. But then afterwards, there's people out there that, you always had the best intentions for them, and you always wanted to do right by them, but because of their own personal demons, they take it out on you. And that was something that I had to unfortunately struggle with. And it doesn't make it any easier when you bring them basically into the family, and then they actually are able to spread themselves out over that family, and then afterwards you're the one that's being kicked out. I mean, that's a lot of what I had to deal with in 2023.
Yeah.
And like I said, 2024 was like a reset for me, and I really had to see who was in my corner and who was not.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that.
But what about some positivity, like some of the best things that happened during 2024 for you? Because at the end of the day, it's all about balance.
Yeah, some good things happened. So I celebrated year 7 in my business, which is good. Thank you. I put on my first showcase for our company, our dance company. I started my official dance company this year. Shout out to the girls. But the show was good. It was a sold out show. It was good. Like it was good, a good point in my career of just like being a choreographer and putting a show together and getting back into like the arts that way instead of just like teaching. So yeah, that was good. I held a couple retreats, 2 retreats. So yeah, a lot of good things happened.
Full disclosure, I almost was tempted to join one of your retreats.
You should. You should
I
come.
thought I thought about it. It's
Not
just,
the one in Greece.
no, no. Well, I mean, no.
You
I'm
could
not,
come to Arizona.
I know certain ones I'm not the right gender, but either way, no. You had one in Buffalo, I believe.
Yes, upstate.
Yeah, and I was planning to do that one, but for two reasons I didn't. It was one, it was a money situation, unfortunately, but you know that's neither here nor there anymore. And the second is me being the sometimes insecure kind of guy. At times, I would have felt awkward being the only person that is not female. I'll put it that way. And I didn't know exactly
We had
what
a
to
guy
expect.
there, but he's gay.
Was he? Was he?
Yeah, he's part of the gang.
Gotcha.
But you would have been fine.
I know. Like I said, it's just my own. It's just my own insecurities, you know. But you know, and also it was a money situation, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of those people that I'm looking for handouts or discounts or whatever. I'm one of those people that legitimately supports. Like if you're selling me something, I don't want no friendly hometown discount or anything like that. I will pay full price to support you and all of your endeavors. That's just the type of person that I am, and I wish that we had more people like that.
Yeah, we need that.
Yeah. What about you, Joel? I mean, positives, negatives throughout 2024?
I feel like it's a heavy mix. Unfortunately, when you're adulting, it just comes with it, you know.
Adulting is ghetto.
Adulting, well, it's the situation, and my life sometimes feels ghetto. So, no, you know, I just like you, I lost a lot of relationships in 2023 and 2024. Kind of learned a lot about myself and how I was able to bounce back from some of these situations. I learned what and who I surround myself with, and I kind of I tested my own resilience, you know, and the positive from that is that, you know, I'm still here, and my career is still aiming in the direction that I wanted to. Some exciting things coming. Fortunately, I can't dive too much into that. You know,
Yeah, contractually obligated.
Exactly. Yeah. But like I said, the good thing is there's been a lot of opportunity, and being able to see how mentally strong you are, because you don't really know until you're tested. You know?
Right. Yeah.
And I was tested, and there was some relationships that you kind of think are of a certain caliber, but then you see that they're not, and you kind of see some people's true colors. And luckily, I've been very fortunate to just keep moving forward and not take it so personal, where I give that person that energy and like hate them forever. Just it's an experience. You learn from it, and you come back stronger. And like I said, the career is going good. Acting is booming, and you know, you get to see this. Don't get me started, bro. Don't get me started. I can't be in front of a camera.
I'm dead.
No, but you know, one of the things that I think is really cool that even though the trajectories might be a little bit different, it's almost kind of like the same directions, for lack of a better term, where with the exception of Marissa, like you and I, we have our dreams and aspirations and we have our careers, but we also have 9-to-5s that allows us to pay the bills and keep roofs over our head, which is a place that we would eventually love to get to, where Marissa is at, where she is fully independent. She ain't working for the man or anything like that. It's all about her. And
disclaimer, I do not sell full-time entrepreneurship to anybody. It's a choice, and it's a battle.
Right.
But like, it's rewarding if you are going to show up in the way that you are capable of, you know. But like, there's a lot of like risk and like tests that are gonna come. Like, you have to have 100% faith that things are gonna work out.
I think the thing for me personally is that I have fucked up enough in my young life where I don't feel like I've developed the mental capacity just yet to be able to have that faith in order to just go full throttle and bet on myself. I'm still kind of battling those demons because it's a real thing, you know, and not everybody's built for that kind of that kind of lifestyle. It could be, I feel like it could be developed into it. I feel like you can grow into it. And I just feel like the cards were just in your favor a little bit more than mine at the moment.
I don't know if I would say that. I also, okay, so I've been building my business for the last 7 years, but I haven't, like, I chose last year to go into entrepreneurship full time. But leading up to that, I always had a job, like, whether full time or part time, just like mostly out of needing to be stable,
Yeah.
also fear, like mostly fear, to be honest, and like you have your parents. I don't know if you guys' parents are like, they want you to be stable and they want you to play it safe, especially when you have a career in the arts, like when you're acting or dancing or something. So your parents are going to push you to, find a more stable job. But I was never happy doing that. Like, and then it just takes more energy and time away from what you really are passionate about.
Yeah, you spread yourself thin.
Yeah.
But like in adulthood, you kind of have to have that floor. And like my mother is alive and she's the one who raised me and stuff. But I saw her go through a lot, and I saw her struggling with rent and stuff like that. And me watching that growing up, I'm like, I don't ever want to get to that point. God forbid the E word, eviction. Like seeing stuff like being homeless has always been my fear. So to me, not have that kind of stability, I'm like, no, I always have to maintain a roof over my head. And though I love the arts, whenever I get mixed reactions when people hear about my acting. You get the people who are like, oh my God, that's so cool. What have you been in? And then you get the other people who are like, oh, okay, cool. You have a hobby, So it's definitely like, yeah. We spoke about this on episode 101. It feels like it's in the way, but it's just, unfortunately, as right now, it's a necessity.
Yeah. Now, in my last episode with my lovely guest, A Nova, shout out to A Nova. Thank you so much for coming through on the show. I asked her a question, and I'll basically ask you guys the same thing. And we could start with you, Marissa. And I think I know the answer to this, but I guess maybe you both can delve into a little bit more from my audience and also just from me, just in case if I'm not fully aware of it. But I firmly believe that there's two kinds of people in this world. There's people that they feel like they need for lack of a better term, that cheerleader theory of like everybody getting behind them and support them. Like, you got this, like, every single person in your corner is like 100% supportive of you, and they give you that push and that fire and that motivation to do whatever you want to do in life. And then there's another group of people where they relish, or, they don't mind all the negativity and the hate and the fire and everything, because they use that as fuel and compartmentalize it into using that mindset to be able to prove everybody wrong. And I firmly believe that I'm in the former category, where I feel like I need that support system. I can't have one, bad seed, in my corner, or, bringing that negativity or whatever. And then there's people out there that, they have that I'm going to prove them wrong mentality. So I guess with you, Marissa, which one do you feel like you are?
Okay, wait. To narrow it down, so the first type is like you need the support around you?
Like I feel like if I'm not universally supported by everybody in my corner, then I feel like it's going to be an uphill battle. Whereas there's people that they could take all the criticism and negativity and hate and everything, and then they use that as energy to prove them wrong.
Damn, that's, I don't know, because I feel like I'm in between. Like, I feel like I need support around me, mostly from like close friends and people that I work with, my team. But also, like, I don't want to use the word independent. I don't want to use that word. But I'm such a person where like I can turn pain into, I could transform it into success. Action and success. Yeah, exactly. So I could definitely do both, I feel like, but you do need support and community to thrive.
Mm-hmm. Because I think it's, at the end of the day, it's really a state of mind. And, for me, fortunately or unfortunately, however anybody wants to look at it, is that I feel like I can't fathom the idea of people bringing me that negativity or that hate or that criticism, or else it's going to be discouraging for me.
Can you take any criticism, or you don't?
I've learned to take constructive criticism, certainly, because one of the things about me, and I feel like I keep on saying this ad nauseum, but it doesn't seem to get over people's heads. Like, let's say, for example, that the both of you guys have a problem with something I said or did, And I want you to be both honest with me as thoroughly as possible. And I may not like what I have to hear, but I'm always going to respect it because I understand where you guys are coming from, where I actually think it's insulting to me where somebody tries to sugarcoat it or try to, gaslight me or whatever. And it's an insult to my intelligence. And I'm a pretty observant person, and I'm able to sniff that out. It doesn't mean I'm always right, but it definitely is up on my radar. My radar definitely pops up when some things like that happen. And it has happened to me before, and I basically have to decipher what the hell is going on here.
I definitely think it's a red flag when people don't have any feedback and everything is just like, oh no, it's great, yeah, it's like, like if it's not always going to be perfect. So
right.
if there's no feedback at all, that's also a red flag for me.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why I feel that way strongly is because I know in my 20s that there was a lot of things wrong with me. I mean, chances are, if you guys met me in my 20s, you probably keep your distance because I was a completely different person than I am today. And that was because I had a lot of demons inside me, a lot of problems, and a lot of mental health struggles and so on and so forth. But the problem was I was being, especially from my family, like specifically my mom, she would try to big me up and tell me all the things that are going good in my life and what I got to go on. And, you don't have to worry about this, you don't have to worry about that. But like, I can't really, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, how do I solve a problem if I don't know that there is a problem? So that's why I welcome the honesty and the criticism, because how do I solve the problem if I don't know there is one? Like Marissa and Joel and Alana, if you're watching, if I'm fucking up, I need you guys to tell me that I'm fucking up.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I'd be like, in a scenario where it's both of us and you would really want that from me, I'd feel like I'd be doing you a disservice by letting you continuously go down the wrong route, regardless of what the situation is. Like, I always say, like, if I'm wearing something that looks ridiculous and you're my boy and you're going to let me walk out into the street like that, like, no, I'd rather you pull me aside and be like, hey, listen, Joel, like, maybe, fix that or this. And that, I feel like that applies to everything. Right. Like, if I really have your best interest at heart.
Yeah, and it's not because you're being a quote-unquote hater, which is a lot of mentality of these young kids now.
Yeah.
Like, if they don't like something you do, like, oh, you're automatically a hater.
But it's also the way that you say it, because there's some people who say it and they're like, damn, and then they just like deliver whatever message, and it's like, bro, like, relax, like, you can say like, yo, listen, like, Jay, maybe you can do this or that, try that, like, right. That's what I would do, and then maybe you'll feel more comfortable, because again, it's on the delivery, because if I say it in a manner where it's like attacking you, like, it's not, because people can have a harsh way of talking and they can disguise it as like constructive criticism, but at the end of the day, it can come off. It's a very thin line between what can be constructive criticism and what could just be total judgment, and I feel like that matters to a lot of people,
right?
So.
Now, going back to the question that I asked her, and I'll ask you now, like, do you feel like you're that person that needs that support system, or are you a person that's mentally strong enough to prove the doubters wrong?
I'm somebody who's getting mentally strong by the day, because I'm somebody who's very hard on themselves. I do work with that chip on my shoulder, so I do have, but like I said, an example, right? Being an actor, obviously you're on camera a lot, if you're doing on camera acting, and you kind of have to build that courage. So, I would post stuff, even if it was bad, just to get used to the idea of people are going to see this and they're going to have their own opinions of it. Some people are going to hate it. Some people are going to love it. You have to get used to both sides. And honestly, that kind of build the mentality of like, all right, I'm going to come out on stuff that some people are going to like and some people are not going to like. I just know that I'm going to get better and I'm going to work on my craft regardless. And I always ask for feedback, and I always ask, for like where somebody feels that I could have done better, or so I feel that me working with the chip on my shoulder, right, I gotta prove that I can be better, not only to those people who probably do have harsh judgment towards me, to myself, because I can't speak to any other career, but in acting anyway, there's a lot of hustling, in order to put myself out there, and I have to kind of sell my own brand, which is me. So me doing that, I do have to have that mentality of like, nothing can break me. I also, going back to what you were saying before, there are people, who want to be there as a support system. And listen, I love them, and I have people out there who are like have my corner, you being one of them. But I have to know how to be independent and being able to do that for myself as well. Because if you're not in that corner or somebody else isn't in that corner, you know, I can't just stop what I'm doing. Like, I have to keep charging forward. So, yeah.
Marissa, thoughts?
Yeah, agreed. Especially being in the spotlight, or even with podcasting, you know, like posting clips of the podcast, like you have to reprogram your mind to be like, I don't care what people think, honestly, because someone's always gonna have an opinion.
Well, you know how many people say, yeah, I hate my voice, but then you're in, like, let's say like you guys are in podcasting, like that's rough.
I still say that, which is crazy.
And you have to get over it, because you're like, all right, like this is what I want to do. I can't just like be afraid of what people are gonna think. So
no, I get where that comes from, and I don't know if I've ever told you
how,
this,
bro. You have like the sexiest voice I've ever heard. You know?
You don't live with it 24/7, okay? It can get overbearing sometimes. But no, I don't know if I ever told you this, Marissa, but I think that you have a fantastic voice for the microphone, and not only do you have a fantastic voice, but you are so well spoken. Like when I listen to your show. And when I watch it, which you guys should also do as well, like subscribe to Let's Just Be Real podcast, I feel because of the way that you are so well spoken and the way your voice sounds and how I'm just intrigued in listening to every single word that you say is what makes me want to listen and keep on going back to your show. And one of the things that I appreciate about your consistency is that as for somebody that as consistent as you always find ways to push the envelope, and you always have something on your mind, and you're very opinionated. And I'll even say this, I've known you for a couple of years now, but I would honestly say that 2024 was a side of you where I saw more layers to Marissa Tonge. And
ooh, I love that.
Yeah, because not only did I get to know a little bit more about you on your podcast, but I also know that, you know, there's things that were going on, not just in your personal life, but in the outside world that was testing you. I mean, we don't have to get too much into this topic, but because of the political spectrum that we're living in this world, especially with the results of the election and everything, I did see that a sense of vulnerability in you that I did not see ever after all these years of knowing you. And it was nice to see that extra side of layer to you, but being somebody that is a friend of yours and cares for you deeply, there was concern, and I wanted to make sure that you were mentally strong, because I know you have the capacity, but you're also human, and you had that moment of vulnerability as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think most Black women are not okay right now. Like, we feel very unsafe. And I've felt this way for the entirety of Trump's, you know, presidency before. But I just feel like it's like an extra ticket now to like these crazy ass MAGA people and these racists and the KKK or whatever to like act the F up now. They're just like, it's go time. Like you know, like they see that there's no repercussions of his actions ever. The insurrection, like how is he not in jail? There's just so many things, and it's like this country just keeps proving, not to go on a tangent about, we're not talking about, I don't even want to get into this conversation, but like this country keeps showing how like misogynistic and racist it is.
Yeah, and like I obviously I don't know what it's like to be in your shoes fully. I can only understand from a distance, but that still doesn't necessarily mean that I care any less. I mean, I care about your well-being and other people that are just like you as well, even though I might not understand fully what goes on. But again, it goes back to what I know. I know the depths of you, and I know the layers of you, that I think that even though this is just a moment of vulnerability, that at the end of the day that you will supersede that eventually, especially if you just focus on yourself.
Yeah, and that's my main focus right now. It's myself. It's not, I don't really give a shit about politics, to be honest. Like, I really don't.
I don't give a shit about it either, but it's just, in this case, it was just one of those things that is unfortunately unavoidable. Yeah. And we all fell for it. You know, we all took the bait, so to speak.
Yeah. It's like, you can't be blind, you know, like you can't pretend that something's not wrong. You know, like you can't pretend that.
I mean, I'm in lockstep with you, and it just still baffles me to know people that I love and adore and have respected me and even supported me are turning a blind eye to what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, being in the middle of, like, I don't know if anybody's like me, I just hate diving into like the whole political conversation because there's just so many like moving parts and so many like, you know, and then it always leads to, you know, some sort of a conspiracy or like, you know, like you can't be blind and see that this country is just in a very scary place because it's so divided, you know. But it is, you know, it's, and large part of it is, you know, if you don't endure what somebody else might be enduring, like experiencing racism or any sort of prejudice, then you're less connected to that kind of like situation, and then creates even more of a divide because then you're just like, well, you know, Trump got balls, so, you know, we need somebody with some moxie, you know, and somebody else might be seeing it like a different kind of way. So when it comes to politics and religion, it's always it's a rough topic.
Well, I mean, one of the reasons why I don't delve into those kind of topics, even in general, even just outside of the podcast, is because at the end of the day, I always feel like no matter what side you come out of, it's always just going to breed negativity. I mean, you have people that are very strong-willed in what they believe and how they see the world, and you're never going to convince them otherwise. They're just so set in their ways, and I'm like, why bother? You're just moving a brick wall. You're trying to move a brick wall, essentially. And it's just like, I'm like, why even spend all that time and energy on something that's inevitably, you know, irreversible? So I just need to, I think we all just need to focus on what we can and control at the task at hand. Yeah. And I know that whatever I do in life is not going to be determined by who the commander-in-chief is, as far as I'm concerned.
It's funny you say that with the control part. I think that's I think that's the point that I was trying to make. It's just by me, like, let's say if I do dive into that world, it's just, I feel like politics makes you feel powerless, especially like when you're voting for somebody and then the person that you're like, no, don't get elected. Then boom, they get elected. And it's like, there's the controversy of, all right, this is rigged, that's rigged. Then how do you not feel powerless, especially when there's so much controversy attached to that name? You know, I mean, because come on, you're either completely behind this person or you're completely against this person. There's no in between. Right. So it's just a scary time, man. Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears here real quick. So I want to go back to you, Marissa, and you know, you doing your podcast and everything that you're doing as far as business wise. So ever since you added the name to podcaster to your resume, what are some of the growth and developments that you have been able to see within yourself that you didn't see before?
Ooh, okay.
He brought it today.
Right, I was not briefed on these questions. I feel like
I freestyle this shit.
I like this though. This is good. Podcasting has for sure allowed me to build like confidence in a different way because you're always being heard and seen, so you can't run from your own voice. Like you were saying, like you can't run from your own voice. You have to get used to it, especially when you're doing video. You got to get used to putting your face out there and just showing up when you don't want to, you know, like you're going to have the days where you're like, oh my God, I don't feel like talking right now. You could have just had a whole breakdown, a whole meltdown, you know, and you have to go and sit on the camera. And that's why like I like my style of podcasting because it's authentic. Like it's literally, let's just be real. Like I'm going to be real. If I was having a hard day that day, I'm going to get on and talk about it. You know, like there's no reason to come on and like put on a facade or talk about things that I think people want to hear. Like, no, I'm going to talk about things that I feel like are relatable, you know, to me and to my audience. So it's helped me for sure become more vulnerable and just like put myself out there. And I feel like by doing that, you build community and you attract the right people who are also, you know, looking for a safe space or looking for people who are going through similar things, or they just want to hear people talk about real things. Because there's a lot of fake people out here and a lot of fake content, you know, people.
Cloud chasers.
Yeah. Always trying to sell something, you know, like lie about something. Like the word of this year has been coach. Everyone's a fucking coach. Like everyone's a freaking manifestation coach.
Oh my God. Yes.
A social media manager. Yeah. Like, how? How was that the job? How was that the top job this year?
I don't know. I didn't see it in Forbes or anything like that, even though I don't read Forbes.
It's just crazy. Like I don't know, our generation, like I feel bad for us, but also like we're so lucky because we grew up with and without like technology.
Yeah,
you
we were
know?
right on
Like,
that cusp, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
I think that everybody in this room we were right on that cusp where, you know, we had technology, we had video games and everything, but we still went outside.
Yeah.
I remember there was a time where, you know, I don't have any children myself, at least not that I know of, but
Let's hope not.
almost lose my train of thought. Excuse me. But there was a time where like I was thinking to myself like, I don't think there was a time where I wasn't outside as a kid. I relished on that shit, and I was in a hell of a lot better shape than I was back then than I am now. But that was the thing to do, you know. And did I have a Super Nintendo? Did I have a Sega Genesis? Yes, but that didn't consume my life. You know, I didn't think that I would ever be in a world where people are actually getting paid just to watch other people play video games. I was doing that shit for free.
Right.
Well, you know what's funny? I do remember the transition between before when internet was hot and then after the internet era like picked up. And yeah, I remember being out and playing Manhunt and all this other stuff, and like, you know, having to make it home before the street lights came on. 'Cause if not, you know, I'll open up a can of whoop ass. And then I remember after when the internet came up, and you know, when you hear the screeching and everything out to load up through the Ethernet cable and everything,
Yeah.
and then you know, then I'd be locked in on, you know, AOL chat rooms and stuff like that. It was just like
those were lit.
Yeah.
So lit.
with the crazy username. But,
Do you remember your username?
Foxy Mama True.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Wait, I had multiple though. You remember you could have like multiple accounts?
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
could like, oh my God, that was a time.
I can't call you Marissa. I have to call you Foxy.
No, no. I lied.
It's like a superhero movie. Like,
You are not a liar.
Foxy Mama Chula.
Foxy Mama Chula. That's, oh my God. I love that.
I was trying to pretend I was older.
yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm Foxy Mama Chula.
Yeah.
Like, meanwhile, I'm 12
Yeah.
in a freaking chat room. Like,
Wow. You don't know. You don't remember your screen at
Shit
any
was
chance.
Nah,
Dangerous.
if I mean after that, I wouldn't admit it now anyway. So.
I feel like you have to admit it now more than ever.
No, I don't remember. I know it can't be anything. I know it has to be.
I plead
way
the
more
fifth.
than that. Yeah, exactly.
lying.
I plead
we
the fifth.
can't. I have a reputation to uphold. You know, I'm just kidding. No.
Behind the scenes, you're gonna have to.
Yeah, I'll probably have to admit that. Yeah.
Well, Foxy Mama Chula. No, but in all seriousness, but going back to the podcast, so obviously I love the show. I'm a fan, and I don't think even if I wasn't a friend of yours, I still think if I found it, if it just crossed my radar, I still would have been a fan of it nonetheless. So, but obviously we also know that there's balance. I mean, you've had a fantastic abundance of episodes and everything, but has there ever been a moment where maybe you like had a guest besides me that you weren't so happy to have on the show, or maybe there was an episode that you did solo where you're like, maybe I should have done things like, maybe I should have done things a little bit different, but that's okay because it was a learning lesson?
Yes, probably one guest
Okay.
that I didn't really know her that well, but her assistant or publicist reached out to me. And I was like, okay, you know, like she had a good presence on social media, but like, I don't know, the vibes weren't really there. Like we had a good conversation. Like I'm always gonna try my best to have a natural conversation with people,
Sure, yeah.
and you know, but energetically, I felt like it
Wasn't there.
Yeah. And then I was like, okay, I'm only sticking to people that I really know or really want to come on the podcast. And that's what my rule was when I started the podcast. So I kind of felt like I broke that rule. So,
Without saying any names, is that episode still available?
yeah, all my
Okay.
episodes are available.
Okay.
Don't be searching. Okay.
Because I'm thinking about who it might be.
Question though, do you feel like situations like that, you being a podcaster, do you feel like sometimes that's like dancing, like you have to take the lead and you kind of have to guide everything so it can go, you know, like if she's not or like if that guest isn't giving you what you need in order to like get the most out of them?
So the issue wasn't that. Like, she was bringing like good conversation, but I think just like off of camera and off the mic, like our connection wasn't really there. So it was kind of
the
awkward. Like,
chemistry.
it kind of felt like they were putting on a show in a way for like the
Clout chasers,
podcast.
right?
Yeah, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So yeah, that's how I felt.
Gotcha. And another question, bonus question. What did I do in this life that was so right that I was lucky to be on your show twice?
I thought it was 3 times, no?
Twice so far.
Okay. We just have good convo.
We do.
You're like a real person. That's what I like. Like, I like to have, if I'm going to have a guest on the show, it has to be someone I know I'm going to have like a good conversation with.
You guys do seem like you're at good chemistry.
Yeah, no, hey, listen, I'll admit that me and Marissa don't speak every day. You know, we go through peaks of one, you know, we speak to each other and then we just like don't hear from each other. But when we do, it's like no time has passed and we always know where we're coming from. And it's really weird because we haven't really known each other that long. It was one of those situations where like we just happened to meet and it just instantly hit off.
Yeah.
And it's been that way ever since. And you know, I it's funny that I've known people a lot longer than her, but I consider her more of a friend than other people that I know.
Oh, stop.
Well, the vibe I get from you guys is just like there's just no BS. You know?
No,
Yeah.
and
sometimes you just appreciate that. You're just like, all right, like this
Yeah.
person is not.
And admittedly,
Yeah.
I don't know if I said this to you on or off camera, but there were times where I referred to Marissa as the co-host I never had. But yeah, I there was a time, admittedly, where I felt like if me and her actually did a show together, that it would have skyrocketed. But nevertheless, I'm glad that the trajectory that she's been taking on, and she's been kicking ass. I mean, everybody, seriously, I can't plug it enough. Go like and subscribe to Just Be Real podcast, out now wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you.
Yeah, and shifting back to my bro over here. So as far as what did you learn yourself as far as acting is concerned? Like I understand that there's a lot of layers that goes into going into the craft, and you're not bullshitting. Like you're one of these people that you actually do your homework. Like you've done acting classes, you studied it like you're studying for the bar exam. You're doing all of these things as opposed to just other people that I know personally, unfortunately, that have done it for clout. Like I'll even tell you right now without naming names, I know somebody that was able to do 2 short films and an actual feature film, and already they think that they're officially an actor on top of the world when they haven't even really done their homework as far as like somebody like you has done.
Well, I mean, one thing, see, I'm very much aware of where I'm at in my life and in my career. I don't have the benefit that some of these actors have in terms of like the age. Like some of these guys are like, or some of these actors are, you know, in their early 20s and they're like, yeah, I'll act when I feel like it, and then I'll go on and, you know, and to a million frat parties and like, you know. So I take my acting very seriously, and I take, it's my, you know, my Instagram page is like my resume, and you know, like I'm always, you know, I keep up with my fitness because you just don't know what kind of role it's gonna come knocking on your door. So yeah, just, you know, I learned the resilience that I have within myself, you know, and like that mental toughness of like, all right, you know, you're gonna face rejection, you're gonna face tough criticism at times, you're just not gonna be somebody's cup of tea from time to time. You can't let that get to you, because there are gonna be some people who are gonna, you know, see you and they're gonna want to buy into your brand. You're gonna have to deliver on that as best as possible, so more people will want to, you know, purchase your time, and then they're gonna want to, you know, work with you. And that's how I go about my overall business. You know, like that's like my acting. I don't have to have a tax ID number. That's my business. You know, so you know, I've been fortunate to be part of some pretty cool projects in my young acting career, and but I'm nowhere near where I want to be, and I'm aware of that. You know, so.
Now, not delving too much into our personal politics, but we have had plenty of conversations about, you know, certain situations or certain people that we welcome into our craft and our career, and, you know, they have their own agendas or they have their own mental, personal demons, whatever the case may be, and it could sidetrack a lot of things. Yeah. How have you been able to pivot and making sure that you don't fall into those pitfalls and making sure who's really in your corner by seeing people's true colors?
I mean, what I learned is you can't always hold people to the standard of how you would do things, you know? So I wouldn't, you know, I believe in karma, I believe in respect. I wouldn't do you wrong, but I have to be prepared just in case you are the type of person that would be open to doing wrong by me. So I'm a very guarded person. I try not to give my energy up to people that easily, where I'm just like, yo, you know what? It's you know, if you pull that card from underneath me, my whole deck will fall. So you know, I try to protect myself at all times. You know, I learn what I can from people. You know, like you know, I was fortunate to meet somebody who taught me a lot about the game. We unfortunately don't speak anymore, but I learned a lot from this person. And, you know, I treat all my relationships like that. You know, like everybody has something to offer. It's just some people aren't good at letting those traits shine. So I pay a lot of attention, and I try to kind of pick and choose. Like, I'm never too proud. I never think that I know it all, because I know there's little nuggets that I can pick up, and then I can use myself, and it's worked beautifully, honestly.
What has been the most valuable nugget that you learned this year?
The most valuable, that's a good one. Most valuable nugget, I mean, accepting rejection, you know. I was watching a separate podcast where somebody who's a made actor was talking about it, and he was talking about the process with acting and how tough it is to not get called back for, like, let's say, an audition, because you don't get feedback. They just don't call you back. And you can let your mind race and think, all right, wasn't I picked because I wasn't good? Does my acting suck? Like, am I not, like, you know, like, am I in over my head? And being able to accept the fact that the rejection isn't personal, you know, and knowing that you just weren't the best person for that particular project is okay. So being able to accept rejection and keep moving forward and just understand that there's always room for improvement has been gold for me.
You know, one of the quotes that is often very said is that life imitates art, or it could be the other way around. I don't know. But with that being said, you being able to accept and embrace rejection, not just in your career, but have you also applied that into your personal life? And has that done wonders for you ever since?
Honestly, I'm still working on it. I'm not, you know, because rejection is hard no matter what. You know, when you want something really bad and you don't get it, it's gonna suck regardless.
You think after all these years of being adults, we would get used to it by now, but it just hurts like the first cut.
Yeah, well, think about it when you were a kid and you wanted, let's say, a video game or something that Santa didn't deliver. Like, it cut the, you know, that little
Vietnam
cut
flashback.
feels deep. Yeah, it's like that Sega Genesis. But no, I'm still working through it, you know, and like I know, for example, I know that I have another gear that subconsciously I'm able to tap into that kind of helps me be great in times where I need it to happen. So I know, for example, like if I'm afraid to be on camera delivering some sort of monologue or anything like that, I know that I'm able to do that even at my most scared state, you know? So I'm learning a lot about myself, and that's the exciting thing, that it continuously happens. Like, I can't sit here and tell you who I am completely because I'm developing every day, you know? So it's an exciting process.
Is rejection something that you still deal with every now and then, Marissa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even like running a business, you do get rejected by clients. You know, like you could have someone to come take your class and like they might not come back. And that's like a form of rejection, because it's like, oh, maybe they didn't like it, or, you know, whatever. So yeah, you're constantly getting rejected. Also, yeah, there's just been things in life that I wanted, and I want to say it hasn't come yet. Like, I like to look at it in like that perspective, not like, you know, it's not going to show up. It's like the time is just not right.
Yeah, you know, that's one of the things that I always appreciated about you, Marissa, is that even though there's, you know, trials and tribulations that we all go through in everyday life, when it comes to you and other people like you, being able to have that optimism ready at hand is a wonder to behold, really, because I sometimes I'm not a perfect person, you know. I'm not a negative Nancy all the time, but I do have my moments of vulnerability. Sometimes I feel like it's more often than not, and but that's why it's important to have people likewise around you that are able to, you know, make you see the other side of the glass if possible.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And it's there, like it's always around us, you know, like when you think about people who have come from nothing, like Jim Carrey or like Viola Davis, like there's always examples. That's why I like reading people's books and like autobiographies or like watching certain movies from people who have come from nothing or people who have like gone through something really hard and you know, like now they live this amazing, meaningful life. Like that means a lot because you know it's possible for you. But
Right.
it's like, it is the mindset switch of like, no, I can't do this or this is not happening or life sucks and life, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, life is going to suck sometimes.
Yeah.
And it can for an extended period of time. But like, you have to, the only person that's going to get yourself out of that mindset is you. You can't depend on people to be like, hey, come on. Like, it's good to have people around you that are positive, but like, you can't fake positivity. Like, you really have to believe. And it comes back down to like your faith.
Yeah.
You know, like, if you don't have faith that your life is going to get better or things are going to work out for you, you're going to get the job or whatever, then like, you're going to stay in that mindset of thinking that like,
Right.
shit is just not good.
Yeah, and you know, I think sometimes you have to do the work, and I'll give you an example to kind of contextualize it. So, I'm pretty sure that earlier this year, there may have been some things that I was going through, you know, that I was dealing with internally, and I could have really reached out to somebody like you to help me, just to be that person to, have that ear to listen to, and just get that out and share with somebody that you really trust. However, we're all human. So while I'm going through something, you could be going through something. And I don't know what that is. It's your own personal things that you're dealing with. And you're not always in that right mindset to, be there for that person as much as you would like to, because you're dealing with your own things. So with that being said, and I'm pretty sure there's been moments where, I wanted to reach out to you, but unfortunately you're unreachable. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that you're taking care of, you're taking care of yourself. You're taking care of yourself, and you need to do what you need to, what you need to do to fix your situation.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I mean, it's great to have that support system, but at the end of the day, I really have to do the work on myself, because, unfortunately, as much as I would like to have you as my crutch there, or you as my crutch, I understand that, you guys have your own lives. It's just not something that, I have to have you guys that like break the glass in case of emergency type of thing. So, I mean, I appreciate it nonetheless. I appreciate you guys there being for me, and vice versa. But at the end of the day, I still got to do the work. I can't expect anybody to just spoon feed me all this shit.
Yes. That's why I'm a huge advocate for therapy, because
So am I.
there's no reason why adults, like if you feel like you have a lot going on, or which most of us do have, like, family trauma, whatever, something happened to you in your life. You don't know how to navigate relationships. You keep getting taken advantage of. You are abusive. Like there's traits within everybody that I feel like needs to be figured out at some point as an adult. And I feel like therapy is that. It's just a tool to use to, like, work on your emotional intelligence and your self-awareness, but also being able to like navigate relationships around you.
Right.
So I think if it's available to you, like, you should definitely take advantage. You guys heard that? Real
quick, because we're up against the clock. One thing I want to get into is this is the final episode of 2024, episode 162. Thank you. So we're heading into 2025. Really quick, and I'll start with you again, Marissa. Any manifestation that or anything that you like to put out there for yourself in 2025, and anybody else that's listening and watching?
Jason, I be very selective about what I say. I don't know. That's just me. You could call me like woo whatever, but like I don't like to speak about certain things.
No, I get it.
Until they're happening, and like I feel like I'm close, because I feel like people can put negative energy in whatever you're trying to do. I really believe that, and I believe there's some haters out here.
Fair enough. Joel?
Uh, just continuing the work, and obviously every actor would probably say the same thing. Hoping for that next project to get you closer to your big break, and just we're ready to take those baby steps. So yeah, waiting for that next big role.
That's gonna take you over the top.
It's gonna take me over the top. Yeah, but I gotta have that faith and that support system that you were talking about.
Right.
It is important, but still learning on how to lean on myself first before leaning on others. I feel like it's still something that, especially without the help of therapy, is a challenge to learn on your own. So yeah, just being able to work all of that into 2025 and, getting myself where I need to go. That's kind of like the movement.
Do both of you feel legitimately optimistic going into this new year?
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, then that's enough right there. That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
I feel, and I honestly feel the same way myself. And one of the things that I like to mention is, I know that there's some people out there that tend to do this new year, new me bullshit. I'm just gonna call it like it is. I really think it is bullshit.
Slogan, bro.
But I also think in some way it's a cop out, because how many times are you gonna press the reset button? I mean, I understand it's infinite, but the point that I'm getting at is that I would say that I did that whole new year, new me thing back in 2015, and then afterwards I never looked back, because I felt like I was on the hamster wheel. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, just expecting a different result. So I told myself back in 2015 that I would just do this whole new year, new me thing, and then afterwards build that. That will be just the foundation, and then you build on that and keep on going and going, and then maybe there'll be peaks and valleys, but you just don't have to set the reset button, so to speak. Like, take the lessons that you learn, take the experiences that you've experienced and apply that to everything that's going on in your life and in your future. And I ultimately feel that is why I feel I'm a much better person now than I was back in my 20s, where I said you guys would have kept your distance, because I did the work. I did all of these things, and I took in everything that I learned, and from the experiences and from the criticisms and trying to balance out the positive and negativity, and it basically turned me into the person that I am right now. I mean, if it wasn't for that growth and all that experience, I don't think I would have pursued acting. I don't think I would have pursued podcasting. I don't think I would have pursued being a friendly guy overall. I ultimately did the work, and this is a guy that doesn't take himself too seriously. I'm one of the most self-deprecating people, comedic wise, that you'll ever meet. But it's just a defense mechanism. It's just part of my personality. But at the end of the day, I don't legitimately hate myself. I actually am very proud of the work that I've been able to do, and I think everybody else should. Because if somebody like me can do it, then I believe that anybody else can. Period.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Love that.
And a message to old Jason from his 20s. Fuck you, This Jason's here to stay.
Yeah.
Nah.
Foxy Mama Chula is definitely staying away from 20-year-old Jason.
That's the name of the episode, is that right? That's the name of the episode, Foxy Mama Chula? No?
Stop it right now. Stop
To be on
right
YouTube
now.
forever.
No.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to close out this episode, but before we do, I just have one final segment. You're actually going to sit this one out because you already did this, but I never had a chance to do this with you, Marissa, so this is really fun. So don't be scared. It's a lot of fun.
It's a crazy dare.
No. So, ladies and gentlemen, the final segment for this episode of 2024 is this or that. If you've never seen the show before, what happens is I will ask my guests here, in particular Marissa Tonge here, multiple choice questions, either this or that. No right or wrong answer. It's just what you feel is better, whatever you like, and it's just an opportunity for people to get to know you a little bit more. So, anyways. You already experienced this. You could sit this one out. All right. Are you ready, Najee? Are you ready, Marissa?
Yes.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go for this or that. You, Miss Tonge. Playlist or podcast?
Podcast.
Slides or Crocs?
Slides.
You had to think about that one. Beach or pool?
Beach.
Island gal. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Night owl.
Do you prefer Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram.
To give or to receive?
Depends on the day.
What do you feel right now?
Give.
Okay. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
Introvert.
Are you glass half empty or glass half full?
Half Half full.
Would you rather be embarrassed or be afraid?
Embarrassed.
Would you rather be too hot or be too cold?
Cold.
Do you prefer the window seat or the aisle seat?
Window.
Are you book smart or street smart?
Book.
Do you prefer reading or writing?
Writing.
Do you prefer ice water or room temperature?
Room temp.
Did you like Mufasa or Wicked more?
You guys really gonna ask me that? Did you put this on here just for me?
I do this for all my guests.
That question is not for all your guests.
This applies to you and nobody else.
No one mourns. Wicked, of course.
Wicked, of course. All right. Dancing or karaoke?
Dancing.
Mofongo or mangu?
I feel like this question was motivated because I'm here.
Yeah, like, wait, can we explain the difference real quick? Mofongo is with the plantain.
You're better versed in this.
They're both plantain. Yeah.
They're both.
What's the difference?
It's just the way they're prepared. Yeah.
What's the difference?
So
mangu is like mashed potatoes.
Yeah, mangu is like it's like mashed plantain.
Okay.
But then mofongo is like more fried and mashed.
Got it.
Yeah, and it's usually served with like garlic and stuff.
I'm gonna say mofongo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And then finally, teamwork or solo project?
Hello.
Solo project. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this or that. And that is going to do it for this episode of First Class, Second Place. Before we put a cap on this, I just want to say really quick, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for supporting the show for 2024 and even prior to that. But this year specifically meant a lot to me because I mentioned before that I had to do a little bit of growing up. I had to eliminate some negativity out of my life. I had to get rid of some people that added no value to me. I needed to find myself. I needed to work on the monsters that I had within me. I feel like I've done that. I feel like I've done the work, but I understand that this is not over. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. I'm just glad that I was able to acknowledge some of the things that I needed to be done in order to better myself. I hope I've been an inspiration and an example for everybody that's listening and watching this entire year. I really appreciate everybody that's been part of the show. I was able to have people and work with people that I thought I would never even get a chance to meet ever. But it's been a ride. This has definitely been the best year of the podcast so far. I'm looking forward to 2025. But nevertheless, thank you so much for a fantastic 2024. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the love. And I do this at the end of the day. I do this as much as for you guys as much as I do it for myself. So thank you for being part of First Class, Second Place. And looking forward to 2025. Marissa and Joel, is there anybody you guys want to give a shout out to real quick before we close out?
Shout out to Milo,
hey,
my dog.
Shout out to you.
Thank
for
you
having us here.
Yeah.
You know?
Thank you,
and,
Jason.
you've been, I mean, I don't know about Marissa, but you've been a support system for me just as much as you say I have for you. So shout out to you and, you know, the regulars like Zane and them, you know?
Yes.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
but yeah, so shout out to all the people who've been there in my corner. You know?
I appreciate you guys very, very much. Thank you so much for doing this. Whether it's doing a podcast or just hanging out with you guys in general, you guys really mean the world to me. So thank you so much for having my back, and thank you for allowing me to get through whatever I was going through the previous year. And I don't feel like I would have been able to fully encapsulate everything positive about this year if it wasn't for you guys, and also Lana, who's not with us right now, but you guys have
She's
been
here in spirit.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
You guys have been my support system. I can't thank you guys enough. I'm gonna try to say this without getting misty-eyed, but I really look forward to everything that we're gonna be doing in the future. I love getting people together that have the same goal and the same ideologies. And thank you for being in my corner. Thank you for having my back. And I'm going to continue to have yours as much as you've had mine.
Thank you.
That was beautiful, bro.
Thank you.
That was beautiful.
Not as beautiful as that smile, bro, or that beard.
Stop.
All right. Well, anyways, real quick, where can they find you guys on social media?
You guys can find me at Wristfit Kitty. And if you like to dance or travel or work out, you can follow Real Rhythm Dance Fitness.
Boxing Mama Chula 2025 coming soon.
I'm bringing that back.
Yeah, people are gonna,
I'm bringing that
look
back.
that up now.
Right. Don't do that. Don't do that.
My man, Joel.
You can find me on all platforms. I am Frometa, or spelled I am from ETA. It's my last name. And yeah, that's where you can find me on IG, TikTok, everywhere.
Yeah, your Bachata album coming soon. I'm just kidding. Anyway, guys, once again, thank you so much for coming through. I really appreciate it. And thank you again, Nashi. You've been doing a fantastic job on the show, and I'm looking forward to working with you continuously. And ladies and gentlemen, you can find me at I am Jason Enrique on all social media platforms. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube at Jason Enrique. Thank you so much for a fantastic year. A lot more great things to come in 2025. This has been the First Class Second Place podcast. We love y'all. We out.